I absolutely hate dieting. The last time I tried to get lean so I could finally see my abs, I was absolutely miserable by the end of it. So this time I wanted to figure out a way to make it easier, and this is a method that I used to drop 50 pounds in 4 months, and I'm going to show you what I did so you can try it out for yourself. Now, dieting sucks. I don't think there's going to be anyone who's going to be like, oh yeah, it's a great fun time. And I always hated dieting because it's slow, it's boring, and it's grueling, and it's restrictive. Like, it's restrictive. Like, something's got to give, right? So, and forget about like the junk food. It's restrictive in the way that you just can't have another serving of potatoes or pasta if you wanted to because it doesn't fit your calories. So my last cut took me 7 months to just lose 24 pounds, which was very slow and it was very grueling. So this time I started heavier. And because I started heavier, I knew that I would have to like drag it out to like 9 months, a year perhaps, if I took the same approach. So this time I wanted to strip it down. I wanted to make it simple, make it fast, and make it work without burning myself out or just being frustrated by the end of it to be like, all right, let's just go back to eating all the food in the world. Now, here's the problems that I ran into with my last cut. There were 3 major problems that I was trying to solve. The first one was a training problem. So I was running like an upper-lower split 4 times a week, and my strength was dipping hard. I was getting prepared for a powerlifting competition, so I had to make a certain weight class, and my strength was just not going to hold all the way down, and it wasn't. I was failing lifts all the time. My training wasn't going good. I would go in, fail a lift, and be like, all right, well, I can't do anything about it. I also had all the time in the world. I was a single guy working at a big box gym as a personal trainer, no responsibilities, but despite that, it was still hard to stick to. Like, I was working double shifts where I would work in the morning and work in the evening, and in between that, I'd try to get my training in. And even that was starting to be like, some days I'd miss a day or I'd have to make it up late at night. You know, it was just like chaotic. The second was the energy problem. So I was doing 4 to 5 sets per movement, and it was just like kicking my ass the entire time. And even though I was going slow with calories, like I was only cutting like 300-400 calories, I think towards the end I was cutting 500. I was exhausted every session. And obviously the cardio made it worse because I was always chasing energy that I didn't have. And I was doing the cardio approaches that you would hear. Do the Stairmaster, do a incline at level 4 with the pace of level 7 or whatever it was, right? And it was just like always just miserable doing the cardio. I was doing sauna suits. I was like going all out trying to make this weight. So by the end of it, I was lean, but I felt very flat. I was very depleted, and I was just completely burned out. There was also the hunger problem. So I tried the eat whatever you want method. There's a lot of coaches talk about this. Like, you can eat whatever you want as long as you're in a calorie deficit. And it's true, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I was trying to fit in like protein pudding so I could have a sweet tooth and still eat that. And then I like McDonald's, so I would fit that in throughout the day. But from doing that, I was starving all of the time. And remember, this is a slow cut. I wasn't cutting that many calories, and I was still hungry all the time. I remember eating like little baggies of beef jerky and crackers just to like hold me over in like a little 150 calorie serving size. And I would still feel hungry, just gnawing on little grapes, you know, just try to get over the hunger pangs. And here's some of the pictures that I had. I went from 189 pounds to 165 pounds. I was looking pretty good. But like I said, I was lean, but I was miserable. By the end of that cut, I just felt awful, even though I looked good. I was weak, flat, depleted, and I was just overtraining, I was overtraining, and probably overtraining as well. I was over dieting, like I was just done with tracking. It's just like I was just didn't want to think about it anymore. And then I just started to rebound. It took some time. It was over 2 years. I gained the weight that I lost. It was 190, and gained some after that. I ended up at about 215 pounds. Now, during this time, I was still coaching people. I'm a personal trainer, so I was coaching people. But it also kind of had that thing where I was just like, how am I telling people this advice? And I can even do it for myself to create some sustainability or even just look the part. Like, how am I talking all this stuff, but I'm not even walking the walk? You know, so I realized that something had to change and I had to start doing something about it. Now, this is the trick that changed everything. So a client of mine who was actually, she became so good. She was just so, wanted to inform herself all the time, wanted to like learn on her own. So she came across calorie cycling from a bodybuilding friend overseas. So I looked into it and I wanted to test it out. It was just like, why does this work so well? So I tried it on 2 clients and they both lost 20 pounds in 14 days. Now, it wasn't a fluke because they were 2 completely different bodies. One was a female who's like 34 years old and 5'3", and one was a kid who was 19 years old and he was like 5'10". And they both lost 20 pounds in 14 days. It was actually even to the point where I was a little skeptical. When I was like looking back and trying to do this again, I actually reached out to both of them and I'm like, can you remind me again how much you lost just so I could get it right? And they were like, yeah, 20 pounds in 14 days for both of them. So what I did is I took that structure and I refined it because I didn't have a system back then. I just kind of told them like, you could waive your calories. I structured it and I wanted to build it into a repeatable system. So that way that the system itself is the same and the only thing that changes is the person. So I tested it on myself and I ended up losing 50 pounds in 4 months. And then I tested it out on my girlfriend and she lost 25 pounds in 3 months. She got really lean. And then I tested it on my clients and the results varied, but a lot of the clients who had already trained for some time, like this woman right here on the left, she saw more lean, she had more lean mass, so she saw more definition towards the cut. This beginning client just wanted to lose the weight, lost the weight in record time. People were like, oh my God, what'd you do? And even clients who were kind of like in the middle, built some muscle, gained a little bit of weight over time, and then lost it. This one lost 10 pounds in the 14 days. And I even tried it on challengers. I tried it on this. This is the guy who made me go like, oh, I think it does work. Because this is the guy that proved that you can actually lose 20 pounds in 14 days again. This is one of my challengers. And the excuse of a busy, this guy had all the excuses. Had a newborn baby, started his own business, hustling and bustling. He was just like, I don't even know if I could do this. And I told him, like, just give it a shot. We'll see what happens. And he ended up with the best results, 20 pounds in 14 days. This is the guy that made me go like, oh, it can be done. Now, I think for men, it might be a little bit easier, or when you're just like really overweight, a lot of that is definitely water. But you got to get rid of the water if you want to get rid of the fat, right? Now, how does calorie cycling work? Like, what's the magic here? Okay, I'm going to walk you through that. So you're still starting with a calorie deficit like you would any normal deficit, right? So what you do is you take your maintenance calories and you cut 250, 500 calories from that. But the thing that you have to do after that is adjust them into a weekly deficit. So that's actually what matters. You're supposed to track your calories daily, but the weekly deficit is what matters. So you take those days, you add it up, times 7, that's your weekly deficit. So you adjust based off of that. So what you do is you wave the calories up and down throughout the week. So you have higher days that you eat more. These are for your training days, so you get to refuel, you get to eat more. You perform better because you had more food, you had more carbs, and you're recovering better. On your low days, which are your rest days, you have less calories, but you eat more higher volume foods to keep you full. And this is what creates the fat loss deficit. Also flushes out a lot of the water from your high carb days, high calorie, high carb days. And all of this evens out weekly. So you're still taking your number that you would in a straight deficit, waving them around so it still adds up to the same weekly deficit. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So this is a calorie calculator that I built to help organize the calories. More on this later. But this is the way it works, right? So you have Monday through Sunday. So let's say I took my 1,800 calories. This is my baseline deficit. This is what I like to call it. So you would have your maintenance calories and you cut from there. That's your baseline. So in this example, it's going to be 1,800 calories. So 1,800 times 7 is 12,600 calories. So from there, the method that I was using was I would add 300 calories to one day and take away 300 from the next day. So it'd be 2,100, 15, 2,100, 15, 2,100, 15. And then the last one would still be 18 to all add up to 12,600. So the same as the baseline deficit. So that's how it works. That's it. There's no magic. It's just more strategy. Now, there is a method to the nutrition, like there's a concept of higher volume foods or just higher return on investment in protein and fat and carbs, but that's basically the structure, as simple as I can put it. Now, the cardio. No more Stairmaster hell. So this is a different approach that I started to take just because over the years I started to hear like all you need is 10,000 steps. That's all you need just to create a movement deficit. So the old approach was that old way of thinking where the cardio, you got to kill yourself, the Stairmaster, all that. You got to go hard. You got to go hard on like a 2-hour cardio, all of that stuff. And the new approach, because it started to gain popularity over the years of just getting 10,000 steps, it was way more sustainable to do that. I ended up getting a little walking pad that I put under this desk that I have. And just when I'm working, I would just do my 10,000 steps whenever I could in the day. So walking didn't become miserable. It became way easier to do. And because it was easier and more simple, that's what kept me consistent with the cardio. Now, fixing the food problem. So there's a reason why I even don't like to tell this to people anymore. The you can eat whatever you want strategy that a lot of coaches are going to tell you this. A lot of the online coaches, especially the rookies, that's what they preach. You eat the foods that you love and still lose weight. You can. I'm not saying you can't. I just don't think it works long term because there's a bunch of problems that come with it. So flexible dieting had me feeling hungry and foggy, and this is a few reasons why. When you try to eat whatever you want, you will most likely end up eating like the junky, highly palatable, very dense in calories foods. So these are foods that have a lot of calories, not a lot of volume, so they're small little meals, so they don't keep you full. And if you're not tracking your fat and your carbs, those are your energy sources. So if you're not accounting for those, then you're just going to end up feeling like crap. So this time what I focused on was a protein minimum. For me, it was 1.25 grams to 1 gram per pound of lean mass, not body weight, and a fat minimum. You got to be careful with the fat minimum. I'm going to tell you what it is, but you got to be careful with it, okay? It's 0.3 grams per pound of lean mass for men, and for women, it'll be 0.4 grams per pound of lean mass. That is your bare minimum. You can't go under that. And then the rest, I focused on high volume carbs and nutritious carbs that kept me full. So the best example that I like to use is you would have potatoes over rice because rice is very small in food weight and potatoes are a lot more for the same amount of calories. Fruits and vegetables also have this effect. So with that approach, I felt way more satisfied and less hungry even in my lower calorie days. You could also do this with protein sources. There's high ROI, high yield protein sources. And because of the fruits and vegetables, you're also getting your nutrients in so that your energy is also good because those are important as well. Your vitamins and minerals, those are important as well. Now, that led to 50 pounds down in 4 months. Now, there is adjustments that I have to make, and I think my experience as a coach and someone who's been training for 8 years, like I definitely use that to my advantage to lose so much weight in such a short period of time. But this time, there was no burnout. Like, I felt fine by the end of it. I'm still doing it. I'm doing it right now. Feel fine. No, and it's not a gimmick. It's not like a magic thing. All it is just a better strategy for weight loss. And that's what I meant when I said a repeatable system, a strategy that you can do over and over again. So when I stopped, because I stopped for like a few weeks, a couple weeks here and there, I would stop. And because I had the system, I would just pick up, all the settings were on my phone. All the plan was already laid out. So I would just pick up the following week for whatever happens in your life. I felt stronger, clearer, and more focused the entire time. There was times where it was like I didn't feel super duper, but all you need is a little refeed day and you're back on top. And obviously because it was simple, it was easier to stick to. I would see great results that would keep me motivated and keep me just pushing week in, week out, month to month. And the simplicity of all this is what became the foundation for Enter the Protocol, the weight loss system that I built. So what actually makes this whole system work? For me, it started to become more about a structure that you need and not restriction. Now, first, you've got to know your numbers. You don't have to obsess over them, but you have to understand what your body actually needs, and that's where macros come in. Second, you need a training plan that fits your schedule. For me, that's 3 times a week, full body. It's simple, it's effective, and it's something you can actually stay consistent with. Third, the nutrition has to be practical. And I'm not saying like you have to eat perfect. I just focus on what I call high ROI foods. Those are meals that give me the most payoff for the least amount of effort. And when you combine those 3, knowing your numbers, training efficiently, and eating smarter, that's where the results start to compound. And that's the system that I follow now. This is what I use for myself, for my clients, anyone that I come in contact with. That's a system that I use. And I built it for anyone who wants to lose fat without burning out. So you don't even need a coach. You don't even need me. You don't even have to hire me. You just need the system. So I built this for busy people who want quick results. If you follow it, it works, period. Everyone who's followed it step by step, it has worked for them. So this is the personal playbook that I use as a coach. All the tools that I use, I put it into a program. So if you want to run the system for yourself, you can grab it in the description down below. I left the link for you. It's called Enter the Protocol. It's the fast weight loss system. And if you grab it, you can also join my free private community where I will give you ongoing support so you don't have to do this by yourself. So I hope this video was helpful. Leave comments down below. If you have any questions, stay strong, and I'll see you on the next one.